All right, I am super excited about this next Vendor Voices. I'm here with Junior, with Junior's Entertainment. I've known Junior since I was a kid. Junior is a legend in the industry. He has done some of the largest events in South Florida. He's worked with celebrity entertainment. Junior, tell me a little bit of, just give me a little bit of your rap and how you got here. And
Yes, thank you, Tommy, for having me. It's always a pleasure to be sharing ideas and anecdotes with you. Ever since I was 6 years old, I wanted to make people have a great time for a living. How did I discover that? It was very simple. I had one of these old radios back then in my house, and I saw my mom dancing while she was cooking. I started changing the stations, and I saw my mom getting more excited because of the next song. She liked it more than the other one. So, and I kept doing that. And I remember that look she did on me, like, you like changing, huh? Looking for songs. And that's when I discovered that I want to make people, through my mom. My mom was my inspiration. Seeing her, that I could make her happier, looking for a better song or a more exciting song right after one to another. And then throughout the years, obviously, I got educated. I went to a military high school. I went to a military academy before coming to the States. I went to an Italian Catholic school in Venezuela. And then obviously all this structure that I got from home and education, that allowed me to put it together with the education that I got here in the States in business administration.
well, we were talking about what you speak like 4 languages.
Yeah, I speak Italian, Portuguese, English, and Spanish.
When did it transition for you from being, getting started in the industry to becoming at the top of the industry? Like what was the thing?
This was a process. Nowadays, things are different because everybody thinks like clicking the phone, things are going to happen. It's definitely a process of growing in many senses. While I was in college, I was a club promoter. So I discovered that different area of entertainment. I was also assisting managers of already established artists. So I learned about backline, I learned about sound system, I learned about musicians, etc. But very deep. I became at a young age. I also was an empirical percussionist, so I had everything. I was like building up myself throughout.
Yeah. Or like somebody was building you up.
Right, correct. So while I was in college, I was already thinking, what am I gonna do? I want to have a band. That's what I always want to have when I was a kid, and to make people dance, have a wonderful time, right? That's when I started Miami's band back in 1995.
95.
Yes. So having 30 years. I started very young when I was still in college.
So I was like
Yes.
in 8th grade.
Yeah, crazy, right? So while I was in college, I started my band. I started making auditions, etc. And I was also hiring other little bands and started exploring things while I was studying, while I was still being a club promoter. So it was like learning about everything. Then I did my internship, with the Stefan family, Stefan Enterprise.
How was that?
Alone. It was wonderful, wonderful experience. I had a lot of friends I made a lot of friends in the industry back then. And I learned about radio. I learned about recording. I learned about a little bit of everything, staging, lighting, so many things. So that's how you build up.
It's almost like the things in your life that you learned throughout the way got you to the point to where you can handle events, right? Know how to communicate with hiring celebrity entertainment and bringing that in and making sure that the sound, because I've done events, and when you bring in a professional entertainer, like they want to make sure that their sound is right.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah. So I learned about, what a ride is about, all the technical needs, everything. So when I started, then right, Y2K came, it became an explosion of opportunities, etc. I was already going with my band. I started going to hotels, knocking doors. I've always believed in statistics. The more doors you knock, the more opportunities you'll get.
Yeah.
A hustler by nature, by my ethnic roots, as an Italian Venezuelan. So I went out. I've always believed in me. So what I wanted to accomplish and do out of passion, because if you're here just after the money, it won't work. You have to be passionate. You have to have ideas. You have to be creative. You have to make things happen. But from your heart.
No, because I've learned that success is never in chasing the money,
Correct.
right? It's the money is a result of you being consistent in following your passion.
Correct. So yes, that's true. So I remember a very wealthy Venezuelan family. They met with me. Somebody talked about me to them. Then they interviewed me in Coco Plum in a house. And they had 3 weddings of the family coming, like back to back, like in the same year. So that was my blessing, because they gave me the opportunity of doing what I always wanted to put together, to expose it to a great clientele, a great audience. So I did that, and it was a success. And I'm going to tell you why it was a success. Because I was doing smaller weddings at the Biltmore, and I noticed that the catering managers and the catering directors were driving themselves nuts, because they needed to deal with the strings violinist, they needed to deal with the DJ, they needed to deal with the band, they needed to deal with the sound company. It was crazy. Aside from the banquet, aside from the bride, there were like very few wedding planners in Miami and South Florida, in South Florida in general back then. So and I say, I want to be part of a solution to this problem. I'm very proud to say that I'm the first one to put together in South Florida, becoming an entertainment producer for private events. I captured everything, and that's how you create a success, a product that doesn't exist.
Right.
So I became a one-stop shop.
Well,
When it came to entertainment back in 1999, I'll say, yes.
what you just said reminds me of something that my aunt told me. She says, in business, you want to be someone that someone can't do business without. Put yourself in a position that they can't do business the way they want to without you.
I wanted to be part of a solution to the industry and to make it flow better, to make the life easier for the hotel catering department and the banquet department. So I became, an entertainment producer for
You became a one-stop shop.
I had my Miami's band. That's how it started, with my only band, Miami's band back then. Then I was, grabbing, I was adding the musicians for everything else. The Hora Loca subject, that didn't exist.
Really?
I was the one who brought it.
Oh, you mean you brought it from...
That idea, I didn't invent the wheel. I brought the wheel from Venezuela. I was the first one to introduce that, as many other things that I'm going to talk to you about. And I'm very proud to say it, because it has been proven that people liked it. And obviously I've paved the road for many things that a lot of people is doing right now, which I don't, I'm happy.
Yeah?
Like doing what I do. That's one of them,
Right.
the Hora Loca. Now you're going to understand what I brought the experience that I had with artists before and everything. I was the first one to put an LED background wall here and lasers and everything. So I recreated the Latin Grammys and the Billboard Awards.
Oh, how cool.
That didn't exist in weddings. I was the first one to put it together. Now everybody's doing it, of course.
Right.
After they saw me doing it, of course. And the planners, nowadays, a lot of planners are also entertainment producers too, as you know. So,
And florists. And
yes,
yeah.
correct. Everybody knows everything. But it's okay. It's because that's how, the industry have developed. But anyhow, so I was the one who did that. I have records on Facebook that can show that I was the first one to have the idea of doing the fusion band. A wedding planner saw that, and then she shared the information with someone, and now that's out, which I'm proud to say.
No,
But
that's good.
but I can show it. It's on Facebook. 2006.
Wow.
Those kids didn't even exist in the industry.
Right.
But I didn't develop the concept. because I was extremely busy with Miami's band.
Right.
Because it happened to be that I went to the studio, I recorded some songs, and they became number one in the Miami radio stations all over. And I was doing weddings, and I was doing opening for big ads. I was super busy. It came to a moment that I did 117 events
Ugh.
in a year, performances.
That
It was crazy.
that will make you old fast.
Yes, but then things started developing, and I saw that everybody was calling my band instead of Miami's band, was calling it Junior's band.
Right.
So I listened to the audience, to my clients, etc., and the hotels and everything. I changed the name
Right.
to Junior's band.
That's
how things develop.
I remember being very young at weddings with my dad, and I remember when I would come to one of your weddings. See, I love the salsa. And at that time, you either had a salsa band that knew nothing about events.
Correct.
Right? You literally had to walk them around, like absolutely nothing.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
Or you had really subpar, or then when it came to real salsa stuff, then they switched to the DJ and they mix it up.
Going to that subject, one of my forte is what to play for who when. And that comes from experience, that comes from
6 years old.
Making yourself correct. So you need to know about global music. You need to know about what the people like, demographics, study who's going to be listening to the music that is going to be played by my band right in front of. So what's going to make them go crazy? How do I want, through the music, manage the crowd to go from mellow to an explosion at the very end of the night?
Right.
And nobody beats me on that.
Well,
nobody.
But you know what the thing is? It isn't just this, right?
Correct.
It is a build. You got to be able to bring them up and bring them down, and bring them up and bring them down, and then bring them up, and then end in a way that people go, I have never, ever had this much fun on it.
Right. And on the other hand, you're talking about live humans playing music. So it is like a live DJ.
Right.
You understand? So there are also other things going on in the events that you have to play the right type of music for that moment. So you need to plan ahead. And that planning and everything, making people have a great time, helping, to the success of the overall event, you need to know what you're doing and what you're playing for who when. So that comes out of preparation.
I want to jump back to La Hora Loca. For all the people out there that maybe aren't Latin or aren't from Venezuela or Argentina,
correct.
What is La Hora Loca?
La Hora Loca is an explosion. It's like a climax, entertainment climax moment. It happens when you bring other musicians as a surprise and other elements, things like, of many nature, like dancers, depending on the theme that you develop. You start in Venezuela very much like bringing masks, horns, and noisy things, to a specific moment, like in the peak of the night. Right. So, but what I did with it, when I brought it in, I said Miami is it's a melting pot of culture. So what I did is that I brought the Brazil, depending upon what's going on in general in the world, I did a Brazilian theme. I did a Havana theme because there's so many Cubans in, depending upon the demographic, the ethnic group, in attendance on the party. That's what I was offering to the clients. They went, okay, they trusted me, and then that exploded. All those themes. So I developed Hora Loca themes based on the demographic in attendance. So that's why I developed different themes.
Got it.
But the Hora Loca is definitely a surprise factor, a musical or entertainment surprise factor that you bring in to the peak moment of the evening, because in that moment the emotions and everything, and the drinks, etc. So they get to have a blast.
It's actually what's interesting is it's like opposite, let's say, the traditional American culture for a wedding. right?
Two different cultures.
Right?
Yes.
Two different cultures. American culture for the wedding, 9 times out of 10, the last hour of the party is when they do the cake, they pass out the coffee.
Correct.
The old people leave, and the rest of the friends stay on the dance floor, and the party kind of fizzles.
And the thank you so much. The flowers were beautiful.
Yeah.
Were beautiful.
Yeah,
So
can I
it's two
take them home? Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's two different
That's more of a Cuban
cultures.
thing anyway.
Yeah, that's other thing that throughout the years, I learned a lot about the American culture too, and I've made a transition since 2015. I tr- I regroup and I reinvented myself because I've always believed it's not about making it or staying there, but it's always about reinventing yourself.
My abuelo said there's only 2 directions you move, forward or back.
Right.
There is no standstill. Standstill is back.
Right. Correct.
Right.
So aside from Junior's band, which I've done music in up to 7 different languages, including the Hora, Italian, Portuguese, English, Spanish, Arabic, So I've done a lot of multicultural weddings or events in general, corporate and things like that. I started my project of having to more American oriented. That was the Icebreakers band, came along 10 years ago, and I've become very busy with it because of all my knowledge. But it's just I built the same quote unquote of what I did with Junior's band, but now I have it for the American market.
We recently just worked together at Mar-A-Lago.
Yes.
What I find is really cool is you might have an American culture, but I've seen such an acceptance into bringing into an American wedding multicultural music, because
Yes.
sometimes that hits harder, right?
But in my case, I've understood that what to give to who, when. So I can switch myself from being very Miami and to be very Palm Beach, New York.
Right.
Because I've learned, I've gone to New York, I've done events there.
probably
So
nice when you
I've
were-
traveled to 70 different countries. So I know about global music, global cultures. I know about food, customs, everything. Why? I've always wanted to, because then I can provide for my clients the peace of mind that I understand what they like and what they don't, regardless of where they're coming from. And obviously, because of this vast knowledge that I have of global entertainment, global music, that allows me to have an edge to everybody when it comes to intercultural events, obviously. But I can switch to be 100% Miami, 100% Palm Beach, 100% Italy. Why? Because I have the knowledge.
Right.
So it comes easier. And everything that I've tell you through, Tommy, which I'm very proud of, like I'm proud of being here with you because I know your father paved the way for all of you guys, and you have,
Yep.
and I value that a lot. We are in places that many people, I'm very humble when obviously thinking about this, I'm telling you, because a lot of people would love to be in venues and the places that we are. I'm talking about hundreds, thousands of people would love to be. You come from a Hispanic culture, from your heritage, from your dad, from Cuba. That's amazing. I'm a little kid that came from Venezuela. I'm the only Hispanic vendor, like your family's heritage, in the entertainment at the Breakers, Palm Beach, and Mar-A-Lago.
Wow.
Throughout the years, 15 years. You think about it. I've been a preferred vendor for 15 years there. And you turn back and you say, really? This little kid that came from Venezuela, I'm still amazed when I think about that. And I'm humble and appreciative of what God has given me and continue giving me. But I also think I've earned that. I've earned it throughout the years.
Right.
By being ethical, by being creative, by being perseverant, like your dad and you guys are going. So we have great things in common, what we do. So I couldn't be happier to be here with you.
Oh no, I think you hit on some really good things. I kind of want to go back over it a little bit. I get asked a lot. Say, how do you get to the point that you do these jobs? And I remember doing weddings at the Faith Farm, at 16 years old. And the thing is it isn't one thing. It's exactly what you said. It's a lifetime of commitment, of learning, of, like you said, the opportunities that God puts in front of you, that you have a choice on how you handle them. And usually when you do it with that, like, I want to help, I want to make it better for you.
Right. I bet you're going to feel related what I'm going to say, but a lot of people see the pictures of Munoz photography and they say, oh, wow, how beautiful they are. Hey, Tommy, what do you do during the week?
Yeah.
Does that happen to you?
Yeah.
To me?
Nothing.
Oh, they get to see the videos.
Yeah.
People going crazy about, having a wonderful time with my bands and everything that I've produced. Oh, Junior, what do you do during the week? I plan for months to make that happen.
Right.
In 4 hours.
Right. Yeah.
Or 5 or 6 hours.
Trust me.
But it's okay.
For me, the funnest part of my job is not what I spend a majority of is what I spend this much doing, which is the photographing. Like for me, when I get to the party, I don't have anything to worry about because I know that I got this party. When I'm here in the studio, I got this person with that problem, that person with that problem, this person with that problem. But when I get to an event, the whole world shuts off.
Yeah. Let me tell you something. When I get a project, whatever the case is, if it's a corporate event or a gala or a wedding, my mind starts like, because I get so emotionally involved and so much knowledge, and I want to make things different and create a unique experience for my clients that is a never stop. My mind goes.
Yeah. So what? You don't have set playlists for different weddings? You just go and that's what they do? No.
No, I don't. No. And I feel for my singers because I'm very, I'm very demanding when it comes to learning different songs to accommodate and make a difference. You have to reinvent yourself every single day, my friend.
But your team looks like you guys practice together. Like you look like a team that.
Well, nowadays it's easier. Technology has helped in many ways.
How so?
Well, back in the days, all the music sheets used to be sheets, like actual paper sheets. Now, when the iPads came along, it made it easier. But I remember back in the days, I had like back-to-back Friday, Saturday, Sunday events. So, and my band used to perform like 40 to 45 songs every night. So, and I had to go back home and I have to put all those papers, those music sheets in order again by instrument.
Oh, wow.
There were 7 of them: keyboard, bass, 2 trumpets, which is first, second trumpet, trombone, alto sax, and tenor sax. I remember that. And for years, I had to work every single night right after coming from the event. So when I wake up, I had them all set in order for the very next performance, it wasn't the same. Because one night I was doing a wedding of an American groom with a Cuban American a bride, but the very next day it was 100% Venezuelan. But then on Sunday it was 100% people from New York or Boston. So it's different type of different songs.
Right.
So I have my set list and I have to put them in order so that when my musicians open the book with the music sheets, they could read. Now it's easier because everything is on the iPad. That was one of the advancements, technology provided. So it took
a lot easier.
The music sheets off my hands. Back then, yes, and we used to rehearse twice a week, Tuesday and Wednesday, because I've always believed, as a former athlete too, that practice makes perfect.
Yeah, my wrestling coach had an expression. He goes, "You wrestle like you practice," right? Yeah. So if you're not practicing when it comes time to do it, right? You're not gonna have that muscle memory, right?
Yeah.
It's not. You don't like. I don't know. For me, when I get to an event, I've been going so long that I don't think about what I got to do. Correct. I know what I got to do.
Correct.
Right.
So it's muscle memory, definitely.
Yeah, muscle memory.
That's exactly what I had, as I said, I learned that by playing basketball, bowling, and baseball in high competitive levels. So the more you practice, the better you get on what you do.
So how do you guide your clients into selecting the right entertainment?
I need to know where they're coming from, the guest in attendance, the demographics. That's the first thing that I ask. Again, it's because my global music knowledge. So I want to know. The more I know, the better I can guide them. That's the answer to it. So I want to know if it's people from Palm Beach, New York, American. Obviously, I'm gonna tell them, hey, this is what we should do for the entertainment, for the ceremony. If it's a wedding, cocktail hour, and I have two options for you. I have my icebreakers band, and I have the hybrid band, the super hybrid band. So you can choose if you want something more live oriented, more like New York style, then that's the icebreakers. If you want to do something more modern with DJ and live musicians, you have the super hybrid band. That's how I guide them. But in another end, on each of the concepts, I present them with different amount of musicians. I tell, hey, you have from the 6, 9, 12, 15, and 18 musicians to choose from for the icebreakers.
That's a lot of variety.
Right. You want to give options to the clients. Also, if they have a party of only 50 people, you don't want to tell them about the 18-piece band. You want to be ethical enough to tell them, and you want to make the life easier for the people at the hotel too, or the venue that they're hosting the party at. So you want to make it easier, right? So sometimes, I have had clients back then in Miami that they have only 50 guests, and they were hiring Junior's band 21-piece. This is a different story. It's different clients.
Yeah. No.
That's why I present options, because every client's expectations are different. You want to know about them, but you also want to be ready to give them what they want to have.
It's crazy what clients will do for the experience that they want.
Tommy, it's not because of the money. I like when I have clients that they have the resources, but it's not because of the money. It's the resources for me to be able to create for them.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? Because when you do things right and you love what you do, the money is always there. We were talking about it.
It's just a result.
We don't really go after it. It's the result. It's always taken care of. But for instance, the Bacardi family from Puerto Rico, which is their roots are Cuban. You know that, right? So they established themselves in Puerto Rico. So they flew me in. Was like 5-6 years ago to do one of their kids' wedding. So I flew 57 people from here, between talent, my band, musicians, technicians, etc., to go over there. And I went over there twice, and I produced the stage, everything for that wedding. And I brought also Carlos Vives.
Carlos Vives?
Just so you know, so you understand, I had $1 million budget for entertainment only. And I created a blast. I brought my Rose ladies, because that's another thing. I've created Hora Locas, as I said, different themes. I have hostesses of many. People go to my website, my portfolio, and they will find wonderful things that I've created lately. But I brought everything else, things like that, dancers. I also created something called Hora Ibiza. So I was the first one to put the robots, the LED robots.
The robot. Yeah.
Do you know how I brought that into the parties? Because somebody told me that they went to one of these nightclubs where the ladies dance, one of these places, and they told me there was a robot like LED, and so can you take a picture next time you go there? And then they showed me. So I brought that into the private event scene. Those LED robots.
It's pretty
like the same thing that I did with the Latin Billboard and Grammy Awards approach with the LED walls and laser and lighting and CO2s and all that. I brought it in for the first time to a party. So I created the Hora Ibiza. Dancers with gloves with laser and, LED and with the robots. That's obviously all the mitzvahs and the quinceañeras. Yep. Those are the ones that are using them now, because it's all worn out for the adult pilots.
Well, there's nothing new under the sun, right? And the things, and what I find is even in our industry, I don't necessarily look for inspiration amongst my competitors. I don't want to do that.
No.
No, right? I want to look for inspiration outside of my world and try to bring something a little bit different in. So
That comes from within. That's your connection. Creativity to me comes from a very special connection between us and God.
what for me, we had a kind of a really similar inspiration. For me, I didn't want to make money in photography. I didn't even care about what we made, right? I just wanted to make my parents proud. I wanted to come back and be like, look what I did.
You know,
Right?
we in this industry, I feel that we are in the same situation like the athletes, that they're making money out of what they love doing,
Right.
playing basketball, playing football, playing baseball, which is amazing. We happen to be doing what we love doing.
Just being in a state of gratitude, right,
Right.
changes how everyone feels around you.
Because we're blessed by given the opportunity that we have had. Like
Yeah.
like what I said before, 15 years being one of the preferred vendors at the Breakers and Mar-A-Lago, it has been a bless to me because being able to be on those venues that, as I said, lots of people would love to be
Right.
in the world. Not here only locally and nationally, but in the world.
Right.
So we're blessed, and even more when they value, they make you feel part of their like a family member.
Yeah.
Like you and I we experienced at Mar-a-Lago, and what I've experienced for so long at the Breakers. So it makes you feel more to protect them as well,
Right.
and to be better, and to be and everything that push you towards another levels.
Right.
Another.
Well, it brings us to where he's got us, where he wants us to go next.
That is correct. That is correct. So, like the movie Ocean's 11, I always tell all my musicians and the technical staff and everything, in the hotel, there is always someone watching, like in the Ocean's 11 movie.
My,
So you
it's
better
funny.
do it. You never do it, but that is the big boy right there is watching what you're doing. Trust me.
I remember, like, I was a kid. I started going to weddings and like that when I was 7 years old.
Yeah.
And there were rules, right? You never turn your back to the crowd. You never go to the bar and drink a drink in your hand at the bar. You need to get a drink, you go, you drink that water, you put it down.
Correct.
You are not to be sitting around talking to each other. Like, I remember my dad would be like, if nothing was happening and I would go and talk to my dad in front of him, he'd be like, get next to me. He's like, you need to let them think that you're working. Pay attention.
If you don't have anything to do, think about something that you need to do right now. All the time. You need to keep yourself busy.
Yeah.
Oh
no, my dad was great with that. He would be like, I want you to think about what lens I need next. And I'm like,
Always
oh,
thinking,
okay. I'm like, all right, here we go.
Yeah. that keeps you moving. That keeps you
It
moving.
keeps you learning.
Learning. Yeah.
And again, like, I remember being a kid, my dad I'd be in an engine room with him working on the boat.
It keeps you alert.
And he's like, I want you to think about the next tool. And I'm like, is it enough that I'm sweating in this room with you? Now I have a problem on my boat. And I'm like, oh, I'm glad I was paying attention.
No, I mean, that's what I do. I'm seeing people having a great time, for instance, dancing Motown or top 40s, whatever. I'm always thinking ahead what's going to be my next move. So in a talk back, I talk to my DJ, or I talk to the director of my bands, and I tell them, hey, let's go on this. And I have the list. This is going to work. They're executing. I'm reading the entire thing.
Right.
As a music director out.
So I've seen entertainers at events where they have great groups of people, right? Party people.
Correct.
Right? And they have everybody going, and then someone plays a song and they just,
That's it. Correct. Yeah, I hear you. So that's why what to play for who when. It is the specific thing that can make a party successful. It is do not break, build up to always towards a greater momentum. But that comes, as you said,
yeah.
what song you play, you gotta be very careful,
We in our business, I was taught that what makes you great isn't necessarily how great the photos are. It's how is the experience behind it,
Correct.
right? And I think that if you're, no matter what you do in this industry, whether you're making the flute or doing the flowers or doing the entertainment,
Yes.
right? If you don't focus on the bigger picture, which is the experience, someone with less skill will outperform you in business,
Correct. Correct.
right?
That's what I always try to get as much information ahead of time as possible from my clients during the process, so I can cook. The more ingredients they give me, the better the musical soup that I'm gonna cook will taste. You understand?
Right.
So I explain that to them. That's how I do it. So I'm like a musical chef. I need to know this, and that, so I can cook for you the best soup that your guests have ever, tried in their life. And that's how they understand it. Ways like that,
Yeah.
But towards that experience is to make them understand the reason why I need those.
Yeah. What do you? Yeah. Why do you need this?
So
I'll give you.
that's how it
I'll give you my favorites.
You know
Yeah.
what I always tell the clients? The thing that I wanna, the process that I wanna pass the fastest is the booking, because then we can start talking fun.
I swear, you and I have the same
Business is the least that I like talking about.
Yeah.
Paperwork, documents, deposits, but I don't really like talking about those things. I like talking about what's the group, what you like, what you don't. Actually, nowadays, I only focus on what they like. I don't want to know what they don't, but I want to focus as much as possible on what they like, and that's my blueprint.
Right.
That's it.
It's kind of like that. It's kind of like a pilot, right?
Yeah, yeah.
A pilot that they're not taught to look for planes that you're going to hit. They're not taught to look for the problems. They're taught to look for the clear path,
Correct.
right? Yeah. So when you focus on the good, right?
Yeah, that's what
what
I've
we
been
land
doing
on.
for the last years. Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to know what, so I provide them a playlist link, and I ask them to provide me with their own based on the songs that are on my playlist, and the ones that they don't find, they can always add them up, because I have time to prepare my bands to comply with what they like, because I have the knowledge and the talent on hand to make things happen for them.
Yeah. And it seems like you have a mix of people that no matter what you have, you're going to be able to put together exactly what you need.
Yeah.
Very
of
cool.
course, yes.
Very
So part of reinventing is having definitely the right talent on hand to comply and create successful events.
For me, I rely so heavily on the team of people that help us, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
and in our
Your
studio,
crew is amazing, brother. All the time, for years, I've always admired, like my dear friend Ray Roman, which I love with all my heart. Has been an amazing friend, him and Jessica. And I've seen you guys working with your teams, and it is very empowering to see you. The way that you drive yourselves.
I'm a big brother, right? I've been a big brother for most of my life.
Yeah.
And in our studio, I feel that what we have developed is a brotherhood,
Yes.
right? It's a commitment that goes beyond a paycheck. It's being there for one another personally, not just as a job. And
You're representing the brand that your father established,
yeah,
so it's a big deal.
yeah. Oh, you made me cry.
No, it's true. Like, we're also an extension of the brands. We're representing the brands that they have made us part of,
Yeah.
like the Breakers, Mar-A-Lago, any venue. We're definitely an extension of a representation, immediate representation of the brand. So that's why
Absolutely.
we have to take it very seriously.
Very seriously. Okay, Junior, when the music fades and the lights go out, what is it that you want the guests and the bride and groom and their family to leave with?
With an unbelievable experience that they didn't think of how successful their events were going to be. And extremely rewarding getting feedbacks from them, telling me that how much everybody that went to the party tell them that they had an amazing time, that they have never experienced anything like what I've created for many months.
Brother, you and I live parallel lives, because that's exactly what I live for.
Yeah, that's what but makes me happy.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's definitely when they write a letter or they made a review or they call me or they send me a text or a WhatsApp, whatever the case is. That makes my life. Yeah, and that's something that um, I will keep forever. You know, when I'm retired, whatever the case is.
Well, you know what? You're just sharing your purpose. You know?
That is correct.
Well, thank you for joining us on this episode of Vendor Voices, and we look forward to seeing you at the next one.